Plaidman here. This is part 2 of yesterday. Apparently, Candace Owens was right. She did have receipts. There is something to the conspiracy of Charlie Kirk's murder. So there's that. Yay! It is very fascinating to me in general when you have someone saying something and when people start speaking the truth and doing something that is right. And even before you know that they're right, if someone says something, you can kind of tell the character of what they're saying by how many people attack them. And she started saying stuff because she was friends with Charlie Kirk, and suddenly a bunch of people that I thought were good people started attacking her. Dinesh D'Souza being one. I thought he was good people, and he's just out and attacking her in weird ways. Attacking her online, so it's not nearly as bad. But it's still like, okay, that's weird. Now, I do want to say something. I was trying to think of the name of the guy that I was referencing that you should all check out, whether it's TikTok, Facebook, or YouTube. His name is Carrol. So Cancel This Co. I think is kind of like his moniker or whatever. But his name is Carrol. And he is terrific. He is separately attacking the Charlie Kirk situation from a different perspective. He's doing a really good job. I've been following a lot of his stuff. He also does really awesome stuff. I already talked a little bit about him. Today I was having a wonderful conversation with one of my good friends and her husband, and I kind of ran into this thing of like, I can't really continue because I don't want to make them wrong or him wrong, but it was an interesting point and I've harped on it a little bit, and I feel like I need to also own up to my own business. And the simplicity of it is, it's not just taking responsibility, but it's also taking action. So it's one thing, and it is a huge leap to go in the world, right? So first and foremost, you want to, as you adult, part of the responsibilities you now need to take on paying for your own bills, doing your own stuff, right? So that's a certain level of responsibility and eye-openness of like, oh, these are bills and these are this. And yes, I have the freedom to eat whatever I want and I don't have to do what my parents say, but also, I have certain obligations. And as one ages up and rather gets wiser, more expands their perspective, they realize like, oh, I can't just like live my life my way. I also have to like, there are other people around me, whether it's work or the local group that I'm in or whatever. And I want to have a symbiotic relationship with them. So that means I need to follow their rules and guidelines and so on and so forth. And as one progresses, you get more and more aware. I mean, there is the saying of like, it's uncouth to not be a socialist as a kid, right? This is not the saying, but basically it's understandable if you're like socialist leaning as a kid, but then as you mature and as you adult, you tend to be more Republican leaning because now you have more responsibilities and you can kind of see the adverse effect of socialist ideology. Like as a kid, you're like, oh yeah, socialism. Like, yeah, I don't have to wash dishes. And it's like, your parents are like, yeah, you do. Dishes need to be washed. Like, this is just a thing that needs to happen. And like, it's your turn. We've decided that, hey, it should be relegated. You do this, whatever. Certain structure, which you could say a republic offers. Republic offers, freedom, but also a structured freedom. Really, I mean, I've already said this, but the difference between like a democracy and a republic is run by laws. And a democracy is run by popular opinion. So if 6 people say, hey, you have to do this, you have to die, you have to whatever, you have to mow the back 40, you have to do it because 6 out of 10 people said you have to do it. Whereas a republic is like, no, this person, mom or dad is in charge. Yeah, you got to mow the backyard. We'll separate it in quadrants. Meanwhile, your siblings or we are doing the other stuff so that you don't have to, and there's some sense of, this is a bad example, but you get my point. So all that is to say, this idea of, hey, I need to get my life right. I need to get my life set. before I can do the next thing, before I can take more responsibility, before I can do anything. Like, okay, so I've grown up, I'm paying attention to the news, I can see things are bad, I can see things are not the way they used to be, gas is up, taxes are up, yada, yada, yada. But I need to make sure I'm good and make sure my family's good before I can really start confronting and doing anything about that. And I understand that concept. I can immediately think of an example of like, if there's enemies at the gate and you're like, hold on, I need to make sure my rucksack is set. I need to make sure like I've finished shaving. I need to make sure I've tied my shoes correctly. I need to make sure I have all my ammunition set up. I need to go to the bathroom real fast. Meanwhile, there are enemies at the gate, banging at the door, gonna knock down the door and, kill, rape, murder, do all this stuff. And while every single one of those things, shaving, making sure your kit's right, whatever, sharpening your sword, buckling your shield, all those things are correct things to do, right? The problem is the enemies are at the gate. So you needed to do that then. You don't have time now. There is no more time. This concept of like, you know what? I'm however years old, and yes, things have gotten worse in the time that I've been paying attention to, but I have enough time between now and whenever I get my life in order to then, once I get my life in order, let's say in 5 years, then I can start putting attention on fixing the world and my little thing and starting at a gradient. And it's like, okay, let's look at it from the other perspective. Like, what is the left doing? You have people who don't have jobs or who have jobs in not public companies, but public companies too, but they have jobs in schools. They're teaching your kids. They are whatever. And these are people who are so mentally delulu that they'll be like, oh, I'm sorry, I need a me day because, and they have to work at places where there's like a nice golden retriever to give them pets because they're so psychotic, and they're still making $70,000, $80,000 a year. They've already won the game. They've figured out a way that even though they have it easy on Easy Street, they're still the victim, okay? And they're able to take a day or a week off, whatever, and go and protest and riot and revolt and spit hatred and whatever and do all this gnarly stuff. And they spend time online. You're the worst. You're a Nazi. You're this. You're this. They're already doing all the things. And they can even do more because they don't have kids. They don't have any security, any stability. They have this ideological worldview that they are right and anything you say is wrong. You can't have a decent debate with them. Charlie Kirk was trying. Steven Crowder's trying. Ben Shapiro's trying. And there's flaws with each one of those individuals. And fortunately, Charlie Kirk is no longer amongst us. But, and I'm not trying to besmirch the dead, but like, yeah, they're not perfect individuals. I don't think they ever claimed to be. But they were trying to do it the polite, peaceful route. And there's lots of people I see in life and online who are like, hey, let's just vote. Well, I live in California. You know what? California, at least over 51%, because we live in a democracy, but not really, over 51% of Californians voted not once, but 3 times. 3 times, 3 times, to keep Gavin Newsom in office. Voted him in once, and then there was the thing to kick him out. Voted it again to keep him in, and then voted him for another term. I might have the order, like he won, and then he got in again, and then stayed in. Anyways, doesn't really matter. But he's the front runner for the presidency, and he overtly, like, it is known, it is documented, it is easily accessible on this beautiful, cell phones. We have all this information easily available to us. And despite all this information, you have millions and millions of voters who voted for Gavin Newsom 3 times. There's a very real possibility he'll be the next president of the United States. And if you see the negative that he did to San Francisco and the negative he is continuing to do to California, and he just keeps failing up. So why not president? My point is, right now, and actually many years ago, was the time when people on the right, and right, left politics, whatever. But good people needed to step outside of their comfort zone of, hey, I got to keep my ducks in a row and do this and this and this. I understand we all have to make personal sacrifices. Maybe we wanted to do underwater basket or something else. But, sorry, I thought I heard my wife calling me. Maybe we wanted to do something else. Fine. But what we need to do now is realize there may not be a 10 years, a 20 years, a 30 years from now. If we don't start getting uncomfortable and stepping outside of our comfort zone and just being like, you know what, it's good enough that I have a house, I have a roof over our head, we have food, we have this. It's like, no, you need to start thinking of, okay, how do I reverse engineer this madness? How do I start going back to a time when things were okay? Not only how do I take responsibility, but how do I also diminish the power that is destroying from the bottom up the fabric of this country, which is frankly holding up the world in one way or another, for better or for worse. Like, I would say most of the countries in the world have problems, have corruption, have bad things. America has a laundry list. The country has a laundry list of evil deeds that they've done. I just saw one where we took it's like several thousand Germans from Germany during World War II. Like, after Germany lost, we're like, cool, come on, you were a Nazi, you were responsible for atrocious things. Yeah, let's put you in our NASA program so we can go to the moon. And justify the means, I don't know, I don't like it. I try not to be extreme on one end of the spectrum or another, because that's not how the world works. The world is a bunch of gray. But it's a bit weird when people are responsible for either seeing or participating in war crimes, and then they're immediately taken over to another country and they die in a nice suburban home helping America go to the moon, or doing this, that, or the other thing. It's a bitter pill to swallow. Now, is America perfect? No. Is any other place in the world more perfect? I don't know. Probably not. Maybe. But I don't think so. Is there a lot more going on than we know? Yeah, probably. I think there's aliens involved. I think we're just here at the aliens' behest. They're just like, yeah, you keep messing around. As long as you don't mess up too much. And also, you can't get past this technological advancement. If you do, then we, whatever. And maybe that would justify a lot of things, frankly. Like, if they're like, you can't do space travel. If you do, we'll intercede. And then it's like, okay, so we have to somehow keep us at this point. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. I'm not trying to do a conspiracy on this. It's just like, all I can think is that the powers that be are trying to maintain the population at a certain point. I think that there's a lot of people who want to diminish the population to a certain point, so it's a lot more controllable. And I'm disgusted by that. And frankly, I feel like we as individuals deserve answers. And if you go out of the conspiracy, which is, it's a hard hole for me to get out of. But if we get out of the conspiracy, here's the fundamental thing. You don't have time anymore. Imagine if you're like, oh, I'm 25. I have 15 years to have a kid, if you're a dude, right? I got 15 years to have a kid. No problem. You don't have time. You should find a beautiful person and have kids now. If you're a dude, you should find a beautiful woman and have kids now. Oh, well, we can't afford it. And sorry, it doesn't have to be beautiful. Beautiful to you, like internally, externally, somebody who helps you, someone who multiplies yourself and who you multiply, who you plus them combine equals extra. Okay, that's what you want to find. And having babies is very important. Have tons of babies. Have as many babies. Have more babies than you can afford. Because, hey, I love my kid, and we can't afford them. I'm trying to figure out how the heck we're going to put him in a daycare and how we're going to be able to afford that. And I want to make enough money so that my wife doesn't have to go back to work, but she may have to go back to work. And we have to figure that out. And I want another kid. And after that, I want another kid. I would love to have at least 3, hopefully 4 kids. Is that feasible on our current salary? Not really, but will we make it work? Yeah, we'll have to figure it out. It might be difficult. We might not be able to get Starbucks. I just hate this idea, and I'm not trying to equate like changing all your dynamics as the same, changing everything is the same thing as like with kids as it is with like doing something about the world. And boy, oh boy, do I understand the problem of like, okay, there's so many problems. What can I possibly do? I'm a janitor. I work at a dental company. I work on cars. What am I supposed to do? I don't know. Start by getting in uncomfortable conversations with people and talk to them. Like every time I go to the grocery store and they ask me if I want a bag, I'm like, no, I don't want to pay the 10-cent bag tax. And half the time people are like, what do you mean? I'm like, yeah, it's a tax. You know where the money goes? Nowhere. It literally goes, I looked it up. The money goes to the grocery store. So it's just the grocery store is making another 10 cents on your purchase. Or 20 or 30, a dollar, depending on how many bags you get. Because otherwise, if they don't do that, the government will come in and fine them. And maybe I'm missing something. Maybe the government's like, hey, 9 out of 10 of those cents go to us. Or whatever, I don't know. Doesn't really matter. The point is it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And that's just a small thing. And you have so many people that pay like a microscopic amount, like a tiny amount of attention. And then when something comes down and they're like, oh yeah, I saw this ad and blah, blah, blah. It's like, you need to talk to that's bare bones minimum. Like, no, things are so bad that it's no longer okay to just be like, well, polite conversation. We're not supposed to talk about this. F that. We are beyond polite conversation. If we do not pump the brakes, if we do not stop this train, it is going to pull us all off and we are all going to die in really, really bad ways. And I am sorry if it seems super hyperbolic and ridiculous and whatever, but just if you're 30, 40 years old, remember what the 90s were? Do you remember what the early 2000s, like before 9/11 were? Even the 2000s, even after 9/11, how was life then? In comparison, how is it now? Granted, we have a lot of nice things. We got cell phones and iPhone 17s and whatever. Like, we have nice things. I got these AirPods. This is super cool. We have YouTube. I can make a video and then post it within 30 minutes and 100 people, 2,000 people can see. All these things are great. But what's missing is, and Charlie Kirk was great, and Crowder and all these people, they're doing the right thing. They're on the front lines. But my point is actually, that's not the front line. The front line, think of them as like generals. Charlie Kirk, Ben Shapiro, Steven Crowder, and lots of other people, even Tim Pool, people who are kind of conservative and they're talking heads online. They are effectively, think of them as commanders, and they're not really doing anything. They're just there and people are lining up. And then what's happening is that nobody wants to cross the threshold really and do something, because frankly, when you do that, like a good example would be the Proud Boys, when you do that, the book gets thrown at you and you get penalized years and years and years. And there's a meme, sorry, once I'm more sophisticated I'll do stuff like this, but it's 3 different pictures. It's a comic, and one is like this person uses a whip and there's like 100 people in front of him and they all go ugh. And then he uses the whip again, and one person gets up and he uses the whip again, and then everyone stands up. As in, like, they're all revolting against the one person with the whip and power. And we need to start mentally doing that and preparing on how to do that, and maybe even actually doing that. We need to start being like, sorry, my dog and cats are being so, this is unacceptable. This is not okay. If you're going to teach my kids this way, I'm going to pull it out of school. More kids should be pulled out of school and homeschooled and change the dynamic of what schooling is. Because suddenly, public school can't operate if there's 10 people in the classroom. What, now you got this whole thing and nobody's going to school? Then those same teachers are going to be like, cool, why are we paying for all this schooling? If there's our kids aren't in school, why is taxes getting taken out? Like property tax. Oh, property taxes are for school. Well, my kid's not in school, so I shouldn't be paying property tax, right? Well, yeah. And hey, I'd put my kid in public school if you guys had a better track record. But you guys teach history. Look at your own history. The track record of schooling in the United States is, as soon as the Fed got involved in educating your kid, graph went down. Kids got dumber, less informed, less capable, less knowledgeable. Just less informed, really. because what they're teaching in school is garbage, and they're not being told how to think. And like, those are small little things that you can do as a parent, as an individual. And I challenge you, that's the game, is like, you can think of 1,000 or 100 or even 10 things you can do in a month that are small, petty, stand up and be counted. And frankly, we were witness to this with COVID. COVID was a terrific example of how, hey, the people who really cared, they didn't wear masks unless they absolutely had to. And I tried to be one of those people. There were times when I was forced to. It's like, well, if I want to shop at Costco, I have to wear a mask because the Karen is saying I have to. So I put it on, and then I take it off as soon as I passed her, and then 10 minutes later, you have to put it on or we're going to kick you out. Do that a couple more times, and finally it's like, okay, fine, I'll just keep it on for the last 10 minutes. Now, was I right or was I wrong? I don't know. I thought I was doing right. I wasn't trying to be mean. I just hated this idea of like, oh, you have to put this on. This, what are we doing? And so few people thought it out. So I challenge you to think, okay, and be like, hey, what world do I want to live in? What would that world be like? How would I act in that world? Okay? If we were in an imaginary world that was what we wanted, how would we be acting? Right? And then once you've done that, then start acting that way. I saw this amazing thing, and I'll end off with this. It's been bugging me for a week. And it was an Andrew Tate video, and it wasn't him talking about any of his normal stuff. It was him and his brother. I forget his brother's name. And they're both handsome, dressed to the nines, out somewhere in the world. I don't even know. And I just love how Andrew Tate has this like side fanny pack that's become so popular these days. And they had some other guy with him, and he's wearing like a ball cap and just kind of plain clothes. And I guess he's been working with them or adjacent to them, whatever. And they're like, hey man, let's buy you something. What do you want? And he's like, I don't need anything. Oh, let's get you a suit. It's like, no, I'm good. They're like, oh, come on, you're just wearing basic clothes. He's like, no, I'm fine. It's like, come on, you've made like $2 million with us. Let's go get you something. What do you want? You want a Lamborghini? You want a Bugatti? You want a Rolex? You want a this? You want a new house? Whatever. And he's like, no, I'm good. Like, I'm happy with what I have. Now, I know that's a weird way, but how it's connected is just he was happy with where he's at. Now, granted, he's worth millions of dollars, or supposedly, whatever. But that wasn't the point. If you looked at him, he looked very content with where he's at. We don't want to be that way in life. We are not content with the world, and it has to get better. Not for us. We are planting the tree so that our grandkids can have shade. If you want your grandkids to have it better than you have it now, then you have to get off your tush and figure out 100 or 10 or even one thing that you can do in a week or in a day or in a month to like push back, to resist and to push. It's not enough to just resist. Resist is just a shield. You actually have to push back at the BS that is being pushed. And it doesn't mean it right or left, whatever. They're both pushing BS. Both of them are not perfect. Both of them have problems. But there is an ideal situation for how you want your world, how you want your grandkids' world to be. And we're not even close to it. I guarantee we're not even close to it. And America's the best. It's like the mecca of, hey, this is how it could be. This is awesome. And we're falling way short. So, love my friend. You're awesome. But it is not workable to say, I'm going to wait till I'm set up, I'm in a better position, and then I can start doing something. Because waiting is just so, it's not going to work. Like, you can't do that. You can't do that. Like, you'll be that person. And I gave him this example, and I know it's last example, whatever. I listened to this great poem that a friend of mine that we are at odds with politically, but he sent it to me, and it's called Hangman. And I've heard the story before. The story basically goes, it's a great poem, so check out the poem Hangman. But the idea is like, oh, hey, someone came and they took my neighbor, but I'm not part of their group, so I didn't really do anything. And then, oh, they took this other neighbor, he's black. I'm not black, so I didn't really care. Oh, I took the other neighbor, he's Jewish. Well, I'm not Jewish, so I didn't do anything. Oh, took the other one. He's Asian. I didn't really do anything. And then they came and took me. And by that time, there was no one else to do anything. Now, as oversimplified as that is, and as much as I've destroyed it, the fundamentals of it are, yeah, we're at the point, we are the frog in the water, and the water is boiling. Okay? It is currently boiling. Charlie Kirk being assassinated is a boil. Okay? 9/11 was a boil. The balloon during Biden's presidency that went across almost the entirety of the United States was a boil. Right? We've been boiling for so long, we're used to the heat. And we're like, please, sir, may I have another? Do we forget that our forefathers, the people who created America pretty much from nothing, as a, like, hey, we don't want to be part of Britain, we disliked so many things. I mean, it's oversimplified to say, like, oh, well, we just didn't like being taxed for the tea. It wasn't just that. It was a myriad of other things, but whatever. But we went to war with the most powerful country in the world and said, F you, and won, luckily, through the help of French and other things. And then we got to establish the most amazing thing that has happened on this planet in a long time, in recorded history, the only time a republic of this standing has been able to stand. And I would say up until the early 1900s, something, before the Federal Reserve, we were killing it. We were doing great. And a lot of people were like, and myself included, the best generation was, after World War II, 1950 to 1960, 1970s, the best years of America. And certainly we had a lot of advancements and a lot of reasons for that. But I would argue that, actually, what was the best about America was before the Great Depression. Because we created this whole thing. We were killing it. Ironically, that isn't really taught much in school. There's the Revolutionary War, there's the Civil War. After the Civil War, we don't talk about much other than, black people were mistreated. Okay, fair enough, fair. Okay, but there was a thing before. My point is, all that is, I hope I'm wrong. I would love to be wrong. And if I'm wrong, the worst case scenario is we prepared for something, we fought back against something, and then other people got it handled, and it wasn't a big deal. It was a nothing burger. And we're left like, oh, well, I guess it was nothing. David's wrong. What an idiot. But if we don't do it, who's going to do it? It's not a war. It's not, our soldiers are going to go and fight in the front line for us. It's not that type of war. Every conflict, everything is dictated by your choices. Are you buying big company products, or are you buying local products? Okay? Who are you supporting? What type of food are you putting in your body? And it's little fights like that, but then it's also vocalizing and infecting other people. It's like Inception, like this idea of, hey, we need to resist, needs to be planted in other people for them to look at it and be like, oh, I never looked at it that way. And maybe they never will again, or maybe they will and they'll forget about it. But if it's done 10 times in a year, maybe it'll click and they're like, oh, wait, let me look at that. Oh, this stupid thing I have in my hand, this phone, I can use it to research things as opposed to just looking at TikToks. And I can actually be like, oh, whoa, Gavin Newsom did this. Donald Trump didn't say that. Biden did this. Obama, whatever. Sorry, I'm not trying to get overly political, but even if that's all you're doing, fine. But we actually need to do more than that. We basically need 1 million Charlie Kirks. We need more than just Charlie Kirks, because we're at the point where something has to be done. So this is my second 30-minute video, almost 30-minute video in 2 days. I love you all. Sorry I'm not wearing plaid. Snot Rocket Inc. Eamon Van Dyke's son, Renee Van Dyke. Amazing. I love that. It was like, what do you want to do? Snot Rocket. Just love it. But yeah, please start doing something. And I know of many people in my life who are doing amazing things and doing really well. And they're struggling. It's not like it's easy, but they are, doing they're doing well by themselves. They're doing well by their family. They're doing great. And that is terrific. But we have to do more, myself included. I'm telling myself on a daily basis that what I'm doing is not enough. Not only I'm not doing enough for myself and my family, but I'm not doing enough for the world And I know I'm not trying to say, but yes, we are all so important. It is so important that we fight this fight. We are in it together, but we are fighting it as individuals. And that's okay, because we don't have a unifying force. You know, Donald Trump, a lot of people hate him. Biden, a lot of people hate him. So we don't have a single unifier. Okay, we don't have a main boogeyman, but yes, we do. The main boogeyman is anything that is counter to continued survival of mankind, continued progression towards free or cheap energy, of better technology, to let's cure cancer and AIDS. Anything that you can think about that is counter to an ideal, better continuation of the human race and improving and being better so more people are smarter and food is cheaper and food is better and there's no starvation. Like anything that counters that, actually counters that. And really read the fine print, because you'll get people who say, oh, well, yeah, I'm curing, I'm doing this. And it's like, oh, well, hold on. I'm looking at what you're doing and what you're not. You're saying you're doing that, but actually what is happening is something else. It is imperative that you read the fine print on those things, because people will say anything and then not actually do. And there's a key difference. It's like, say, do, say, do. So I love you all. I want the best for everyone. I want my friends to be happy, healthy, wonderful. I want their kid to be happy, healthy, wonderful. But we're no longer at a time of peace. We are at an unconscionable thing. It's not even a cold war. It is a warm war. It is it's not a warm civil war. It's a war of the heart, of the mind. It's a war against corruption, against a virus that has infected our society. Okay? And it's not like we can just stand up and have our guns and fight against it. No, it has infected the mind. We have been inceptioned? Whatever. It has gone into the head of our young ones and our adults. And it's perverted things and changed things. And so it's really bad. It's detrimental to the future of humanity. So we need to protest. We need to say no. I won't take it anymore. Anyhow, bye, man out. Talk to you soon. Bye.